Hey everybody out there, Chris and Mike here, and welcome back to another Dark Avenger Comic Book review. This time we are talking about books that came out the last week of February 26th, 2014. And you want to know the irony of it all?
What's that?
In March, it's the same exact date. 5th,
Yeah.
12th,
And then
19th, 26th.
well, talk about deja vu all over again. Only we're in March and not February.
Yep. And next week the clocks go forward. So
Yeah.
while we're recording, instead
Thank
of it being
God.
3 o'clock, it might be 4 o'clock. But we'll get more sunlight. So that's
Yeah.
something to be happy
More
about.
brightness in the room.
Mm-hmm. We don't record that early.
Well, I know that, but I'm just making it more of a happy-ish situation.
So we got a fair amount of books this week. As you guys saw during the Monster Haul, as I called it, the Monster Haul, there were a lot of books. After separating out the indie books, however, though, we have a little bit of a smaller pile, a tiny bit. We literally only took about this much off the actual stack. Mike has a few books this week. I have a few books this week. Mike's actually starting us off with the first 2 books this week because they were lower tier books for him.
Yep.
So, anyway, let's go. Like I said, the week of the 26th.
Yep. And to start off with Marvel comic books, Revolutionary War Super Soldiers. I tried to like this book, but I didn't really see what the point of this book was. Like I even tried to understand too. Like, it started off with these 4 people that were known as super soldiers, and they were doing a movie, and the director's going crazy because they can't act, and everybody's going all crazy and everything. Meanwhile, there's a Lionel, I think his name was. That's part of this book. And also, Pete Wisdom makes an appearance back as well. And all it works a little bit okay. And there's like long dialogue about the Mistech still, and the people who can act. They want to help with this whole situation. And if you want to find out more, you can read the book. And
A lot of action.
Yeah, and the Psycho Warriors want the Mistech, and they'll do anything to take it. They're these robotic creatures, by the way, the Warriors. And there's a big fight scene where even Pete Wisdom actually joins the fight, which was really interesting. And really, like, throughout half of the book, they're just fighting them, and then in the end, it's just going on to the next
There's only 3 more
revolution.
left.
Yeah, I just really didn't find this book very interesting. I mean, I did get the book because I'm doing the Revolutionary Wars titles, but for me, I felt that was kind of a little bit of a disappointment, not the least favorite at least. But going into something a little bit better, because it almost fell 3rd place, DeadPool issue number 24. Now, in this comic book issue, DeadPool and the girl who's on the cover finally switch minds with each other because they had like that instinct thing where he got to see her. I think her name was... well, her name's in the book. Like, he wants to bring the woman back to life because she wants her to see her family again because the fallen son in the last issue. So, yeah, they're talking with each other. It's really like all dialogue. Here's some artwork, which looks very nice. And throughout the whole thing, while they're going through the whole brain transplant, they go through some mystical stuff, along with if this whole operation thing is going to work. And it's just crazy DeadPool mania.
How's Michael in his brain, too?
Yeah, like, he's in his brain, but...
and so is Ben Franklin.
Yep. Basically, I think all the people he's met with, like, the President's Fine and all that, even Doctor Strange makes an appearance in this comic book where he helps them out. And, just lots of crazy stuff. I mean, if you want to find out more people that were in the book, you can definitely check and see. So it was a success. that she came back to life. Her name was Emily, the woman. So everything turned out to be a happy ending, and DeadPool, I mean, he still sees her, Emily, but there's a little bit of somebody that did a knock-knock on the door, and we saw this person actually maybe 2-3 issues back, so I'll give you a hint. He was floating in a hot air balloon and he's returned. That's all I can say. So it was a little bit okay. Average.
So she's out of his brain, but she's really not out of his brain.
Basically, yeah.
Okay.
It was just for her to see her family again, but she's just in there somewhere. So I want to see how that's going to play out more in the story.
My books have no place this week because I've enjoyed everything I've read, save, I believe, one book, which we'll get into. But this is not it. This is an awesome book. Empire of the Dead, issue number 2. The reason it's all the way at the bottom, if anything, is because this issue is very vampire-esque. Remember, this is in the Night of the Living Dead universe, which now they are introducing vampires. We still have the Doctor who wants to prove that the zombies still have a way of being humanized again, or a way to open up their humanity at least a little bit. Agent
Secret Agent.
Agent Xavier.
Oh yeah.
She returns to the city, but she's still a zombie. But she's not acting like a zombie. She's actually acting like herself, except she can't talk, obviously, and there's still zombie-esque features on her. She's actually the one, Agent Xavier, or I'll call it Agent Xavier, actually is the one that the Doctor's going to be working with to try to prove that she can tame the walkers. And she's like, we're going to whip you back into shape and teach you some manners. And she's like, teach? No. Whip me? No. I whip you. That's in her mind.
Hmm.
I like that we're getting in the mind of the zombies now. It's interesting. I like it.
So you know what they're thinking and everything.
There's also a little other story going on, but there is also a scene with the mayor and the Doctor. And there's a lot of stuff that really pertains to the vampires. However, the mayor wants to destroy all the zombies outside of the city, and he's talking about his campaign to destroy them all. And you see that they're actually still thinking, the zombies, because in this panel you have one zombie saying, bad, this bad, we must give back bad for bad. So they're intelligent. They're still intelligently thinking, not as smart as, before they were zombies, but they're still intelligent. Lots about the mayor needing to be reelected, and once again, mostly vampire stuff this time around, and it's to be continued. I guess this is where they kind of like flesh out the vampire part a little bit more and show that the zombies do have some type of intelligent thought still. But that's really what this was, more of a fleshing out of characters and fleshing out of the vampires. And I have a feeling Agent Xavier is going to play a huge role at some point, or Zombie Agent Xavier is going to play a huge point at some point in this series. So, just something to note. The final issue of Wolverine and the X-Men. Wolverine and the X-Men issue number 42 with the Days of Future Past homage cover. This is the regular cover, by the way. This isn't a variant or anything. This is what you get. This book jumps from the distant future to the present, where old Logan is ready to close up the Xavier School, not the Xavier School, the Jean Grey School of Higher Learning, because basically there are no more students left. It's basically abandoned.
They all left? Like, wow.
We get little bits and pieces of what happened to most of the students in the future. By the way, here's the present. There's a bunch of artists in here. Funny enough, Quentin Quire actually graduates, and he thinks this is the end of the world. His family's not there, but Captain America actually makes an appearance and stands in as Quentin Quire's family. It jumps back and forth, like I said, in the future, where Ivy's trying to explain to Wolverine, you should keep the school open. What are you going to do without it? It turns out that Snot is now the leader of the Brotherhood, and There's a Frankenstein Inc. There's Will Hermina and her Hellfire Club. I mean, there's a ton of little tidbits in the future, but of course this is the distant future, so we're not going to see all this, anytime soon, unless this develops in the next season of Wolverine and the X-Men, which we'll get into that in a minute. We also get to see Quentin Quire, which is, I feel like it's a bit of a spoiler to show it early, but apparently Quentin Quire is the Phoenix in the future.
What? Quentin Quire, the Phoenix?
Yeah. Remember, Jean Grey's going to lose the Phoenix Force and somebody's going to take it?
Oh, that is... Wow, that is the weirdest thing
So
I've
right
ever
before
heard.
Wolverine's ready to close up shop, Quentin in the future shows up. Quentin's a good guy now, though.
Yeah,
at
but
least,
I didn't
like
think...
the anti-hero.
No, I'm not thinking that. I just never thought I'd see him as the Phoenix. Like, that's just wow.
So in the future, he actually opens the doors to the Jean Grey School of Higher Learning again, and actually Wolverine has a whole mess of, I forget how many, 2 million students. And he's happy, Quentin's like, do me a favor, make them as miserable as you made me, and he just disappears, and he's like, and Wolverine's like, thank you, and then he's like, line up for registration and let's get things going. And it just ends on a very happy note. And then it goes into things to come in Wolverine and the X-Men issue number 1, starting next week. That's right, Wolverine and the X-Men issue number 1 is coming next week. It's already been pre-ordered by me, so I'll be getting it. Here's my issue, and it's not with the book at all, actually. It's with Marvel Comics. They're afraid of having any of their books reach anything beyond 50 anymore. They're afraid it's going to scare new readers away. And this has been the main problem, I feel, in the past 5 years with Marvel and DC. They're afraid they're going to turn away new readers. So they're making sure that they're accommodating the new readers and figuring the old readers aren't going to care. Now, my problem is, why couldn't you go to issue 43 and just do the whole Marvel Now? I wish I had an issue that went to number 1, but the whole all-new Marvel Now number 1 at the top. Why do we have to end Wolverine and the X-Men at issue 42 and then just start it up again? Not only are you starting it up again with issue number 1, but you're starting it up again a week after you're ending the current volume. Why do you have to go into a volume 2 when volume 1 is doing fine? Because your team is changing? That makes no sense. Why? To accommodate new readers? You're still going to have to read volume 1 because you're not going to know what's going on in volume 2. You're still going to have questions like, how did Quentin graduate? Wasn't he the one that caused the whole schism in the first place? And what happened in year 1? And that's still going to harken back to, I have to go back and read 42 issues to understand the series. Because that's what's going to happen. You're just renumbering it so you can try to grab some new readers. Stop accommodating new readers and think about readers in general. Us older readers and collectors, especially completionists, are going crazy with this renumbering every 50-ish issues. They feel like they have to end something and then start it up again. Stop it. Seriously, Marvel, you don't have to end a book and then start it up again just so that new readers will feel like, hey, I can jump on now. Because to be honest, you can't jump on to Wolverine and the X-Men without having prior knowledge to what happened in these 42 issues.
So. It's complete nonsense.
That's my only gripe. I mean, DC, New 52, Marvel, renumbering and ending of series
Marvel
and
now and all new Marvel now.
Yeah, now we got all new Marvel now, and it's all to accommodate who? Not the old readers, but the new readers. Nothing, no care in the world for the old readers. Oh, well, the old readers will just continue and consider number 1, issue 43. No.
Watch it be now the next one, the newest Marvel now.
Let's not go into next year
Well,
yet.
I'm just saying.
But that's my gripe with the big 2 right now. Accommodating new readers and saying screw the old readers. Well, you know what? One day you're going to lose most of your old readers, and then let's pray to God that you have enough new readers to stick around when the old readers are gone. Or most of the old readers, because I know there's still some people like myself that'll still hold on and just deal with the renumbering. Thank God I'm not a completionist or somebody that sets things up in volumes, because it would be ridiculous. I mean, how many volumes are we going to have now of Wolverine and the X-Men? Every time they reach issue 40 something, they're going to renumber it. I don't know. Guardians of the Galaxy issue number 12, part 4 of 6 with the trial of Jean Grey. This issue, Scott Summers comes face to face with his father. His father explains to him what really happened that night, or we get a little bit of a flashback of what happens. There's some artwork of what happened that night, that they were being chased by aliens, and that the father survived, the mother didn't. There's also Jay's son from Planet Spartax, who actually was going to sit out the whole Shire trial of Jean Grey, but then when he found out that his son was involved, now he has to jump in. I hate Jason, by the way. Jean Grey's about to go up in front of the council. She gets one last counsel before going on trial, and she's like, if you're innocent, don't lose your temper, don't show your power, just literally show that you are innocent. Scott's having a hard time dealing with the fact that his father's alive, his mother didn't make it, and you get another hug from X-23, aw, so cute. And, yeah, so the trial begins. Again, a lot of talking, and I feel bad because not much really happened again.
Yeah, there is lots of heavy dialogue.
It's just a lot of talking, and I mean, we are already 4 issues in now. There are only 2 issues left in March, and we're done. All New X-Men 24 and Guardians of the Galaxy 13, and then it's over. And I feel like we've had 4 issues now of Jean's been captured, Jean's going on trial, my dad's alive, oh my goodness, yay. I'm loving Guardians of the Galaxy, don't get me wrong, but I feel like there's so much talking. I mean, by now they should have been on the planet and we should get some active stuff going on instead of sitting in a spaceship and talking for 3 issues now. Not to mention the first 2 parts were 2 different perspectives leading into the same thing. So the first 2 parts really are like one part, and then now part 3 and 4 are them sitting in a spaceship talking. Now what are the last 2 issues going to be? I guess we'll find out really soon. We'll have to sit back and wait to see what happens this month. You're up.
Yeah, my book of the week, and surprisingly my book of the week, Thunderbolts issue number 22. It is now the Thunderbolts team against Guido to overthrow him so Mephisto could get his throne back, which is the basic of plot of the book. And Hulk goes up against him because of the sign that he has on his chest. So, yeah, so the artwork's spectacular, I will say that much. And along with Deadpool, Venom, and Ghost Rider, they fight along with him, while the Punisher and Elektra are having their little talk with Mercy, where Mercy's saying, where is Ross and Samuel, and there's a little bit of that. The Hulk and Guido fight was amazing, and actually Guido talks about how he became this way because of bringing his lover back, and I didn't mention the name in the book, and I did read X Factor, it was Monette. After trying to remember what the name was, I remembered it. And the Hulk actually beat Guido, and Mephisto got his throne back. And now that he got his throne back, he's supposed to give them in return of what Stern said in last issue. So they have a little bit of a rough time with him at first, but then he brings Mercy to Hell, where they are, and lots of other things come, and Stearns and Mephisto have a little bit of a talk with each other about what the contract said, and if you want to read it, you can, and Hulk and Guido actually come to an agreement of, you know, being on each side with each other. The Punisher was knocked out and he came back to life with a feather. Yeah. And here's the thing that really got me. New member of the team, and I actually saw this coming, is Ghost Rider.
I love how he changes yellow flames to red.
Yep, and he just says that just suits him fine, that, you know, it's not going to be like the Avengers because there's just a whole bunch of dark missions. So I like that actually Ghost Rider did join, because I was really hoping that he would join the team because of, you know, like all the teamwork and everything.
Well, they said he was going to join Definite.
Yeah, but I didn't know when, but I'm actually glad I could actually witness it. So that's a definite book of the week. So hopefully they could stay. See, that's what I like, going to point A, B, C. This is what I like. So stay that way, Thunderbolts, so I will read more. Okay.
Hawkeye issue 15, and for those of you that are wondering or keeping track, Hawkeye issue 16 already came out, and that's Kate Bishop's story. Yeah, they decided to ship the Kate Bishop story part first because this story was a little bit delayed, and that's why there's a Kate Bishop story in Hawkeye right now, because Fraction and AHA are a little bit slow. I don't know what's going on. Could be just issues in general. I'm sure it was mentioned in the back of the book and I just didn't read it, but their issue was delayed, so they released the Kate Bishop story early, and now we're getting issue 15, which was the Clint part of Hawkeye, the Clint story. And then it says it's going to go back to Kate in the next... Well, actually, with the Clint part, it goes into issue number 17, which is back to Clint's part, but I don't know if they'll go into 18 first. I'm not sure. Hopefully they won't screw up the numbers like that, and they'll actually go to 17 first before continuing Kate's story. Jumps back and forth again a little bit. It starts off with the bros with their guns pointed at Clint, whose pants are down, and we don't know why, but then we find out like right away that his pants were, he lost his belt or whatever. And his brother, Bart, is just, he's doing this crossword throughout the entire comic. His brother's actually the one that saves him, and they knock out all the bros in the front, and you still see him holding his pants up, which is kind of funny. Black Widow's trying to help them out with the bros and who the assassin was that killed the guy in Clint's apartment. Turns out that the guy that did it is a legal agent, and he actually found out that he's just an acting, what was it? Acting, basically he's illegally running the apartment building because he's just an acting, oh here we go, interim superintendent and owner. It's not legal. In other words, it's not very legal. So, the bros attack inside the apartment again. Clint and Bart actually help out. And then it turns out that they find out that they didn't sneak in through the front. They had a way in all along, and then ending on leaving off, but things look really bad for both Clint and Bart. And I want to know how the hell Clint's going to get out of this. I mean, literally, how he's going to get out of it.
Yeah, after that.
I need to know how he's going to survive that one. But we'll find out soon, I guess, in Hawkeye issue number 17. If you want to know what we're talking about, you should be reading Hawkeye. Hawkeye is an amazing book. Even the Kate Bishop stories are pretty okay, I will admit that. Once again, though, I just hope they stay with the numbers and they don't do like 18, 17, 20, 19.
Oh, God, that's so annoying.
That would be very annoying. But then again, this story was a little bit delayed, so they might do that for a little bit of time until the Clint
maybe
story
not too
kind of
much,
ends.
so that we could catch up with the story.
Highly recommend it, though. I really enjoyed this book. I think James Robinson did it. I didn't think that I would be into this book, especially because I didn't like it, what, 3 or 4 times now? Fantastic Four, issue number 1. New costumes, new story. It actually starts off with Sue Storm writing a letter, and she's telling her kids, or she's writing it to her kids, Valeria apparently is in Latveria right now with Dr. Doom, because of what happened in the previous volume, which I didn't read, because of something with her father, like that the father lied to them, and she's very upset, and the mother kind of backed him up. But anyway, in the present, Reed Richards is basically lost in his own, he's basically incapable of doing any scientific wonders. He's just basically incapable of doing anything. The Thing is in jail. And basically he was sent there primarily on Reed's testimony. Johnny is basically lost right now. He's just in a bar drinking. And Sue actually says for as much as she loves Reed, there are times where, or moments, where she despises him now. And then she says for herself, it's like she's just terribly depressed and alone. But then it jumps back to, she actually says, let's start at the beginning. And it's the Fantastic Four versus Fing Fang Foom, which is an awesome battle between the Fantastic Four and Foom. Of course, the Fantastic Four win in the end. Yeah, they're red costumes now. I should actually... I showed the page with them coming with the red costumes.
I was
so
just saying that looks nice.
So everything is so perfect. Fing Fang Foom goes away. There's that conversation between Sue and Reed about Valeria. They have that husband-wife moment. The kids are happy. The Thing gets back together with Alicia. It looks like Johnny Storm is back to his concerts and his fame and whatever. And everything looks great. And even Sue says everything was great. We thought everything, the future was so positive. And then something happened. That night it was the beginning of the end of the family. And I'm not going to say what came from where, but if you want to know more, come back for my review of Fantastic Four issue number 2. I'm definitely interested in where this is going now. So we will see.
That's actually amazing that you actually like the story.
I'm shocked. This is the first time since FF number 1 where Spider-Man joined the team where I'm actually intrigued in knowing what happens next. Speaking of Spider-Man, we have 2 minutes. Let's see if I can start this at least and then we'll come back. Superior Spider-Man, Goblin Nation. Superior Spider-Man 28, Goblin Nation issue 2. Basically, Spider Island
Part
is...
2, you mean. You said issue 2.
Part 2, yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
Issue 28, Part 2 of Goblin Nation. So Spider Island's gone. Doc Ock retreats. Peter Parker's stuck now in Dr. Octopus's memories, and he's basically living through Doc Ock's life. Green Goblin puts out a hit on Spider-Man to go for anybody who's a close friend of his, family, anything. Mary Jane gets attacked. Mary Jane has her own web shooters, which I found really awesome.
That's cool.
And she's like, you know what? I'm the wild card in all this. She goes and finds Jay and Aunt May and takes them out of the city. She runs out of the city. Doc Ock finds out that Carly is one of the
she's even uglier
goblins.
than before.
The only one that doesn't get out of the city... Oh, and also Pete kind of gets lost in Doc Ock's memories a bit, which scares me a wee bit. But anyway, Carly goes to Doc Ock or Pete. Basically, she says Doc Ock or Pete for help. She wants to be cured from the Goblin Serum. She wants to basically be fixed before she does something that she regrets. And Anna Marie gets picked up by Lily Hollister, who is actually Menace. So the Goblins got the woman that Doc Ock loves.
I like the next issue cover.
And J. Jonah Jameson has changed all the Spider Slayers to Goblin Slayers. But they're still Spider Slayers at the core. But I found that interesting. This is definitely awesome. Looking forward to the next issue. I just want Superior Spider-Man to be over so we can get Peter Parker back. I'm just worried because the more this goes on, the scarier it's getting, because it's like, what is going to be that X factor? What is going to be that twist in Peter Parker's return? Because there's going to be a twist. So we'll find out there, I guess, when we get to Amazing. But for right now, Superior Spider-Man, Goblin Nation is shaping up to be something big. So we're going to go to our commercial break. We have one more Marvel book, and then we're going to go into DC Comics. So stay tuned, and we will be right back after this commercial break. And we'll continue and finish with this week's comic book. So we'll see you guys after these messages. Welcome back to this week's Dark Avenger Comic Book review, everybody. And we're in the last book from Marvel this week. And it is Cataclysm, the Ultimate's Last Stand, issue number 5. The final issue. Does the Ultimate Universe survive Galactus? And I said it, if they beat Galactus, nothing's going to stop the Ultimate Universe from surviving. Once again, of course, there is death, and despair, and loss. Meaning not death, but loss. So, we got Kitty Pryde, or Gigantic Kitty Pryde, versus Galactus, and destroying his machine, and fighting them. Nice splash page, basically, of every single character in the Ultimate Universe, dead or alive. Which I love that, because Reed Richards was giving Kitty Pryde a pep talk to fighting Galactus. Here's the page. That Mark Bagley's artwork is spectacular. So in the end, Reed Richards' real plan was a negative zone portal. Basically, he wanted Kitty Pryde to destroy the machine, and then he was going to send Galactus into the negative zone. And unfortunately, Kitty Pryde was a possible sacrifice. She wasn't at the end. In the end, it actually ended up being Thor who, to save Kitty Pryde from going into the negative zone, he basically, using his Mjolnir, sends Galactus tumbling into the negative zone, but he knocks himself out, so he falls into the negative zone as well. Tony Stark wants to wait to see if Thor will wake up and come back, but Reed Richards says if we don't close it now, because Galactus starts climbing out, we're not going to get this chance again. He's going to be free, and the Earth is dead, and we can never go back to the negative zone after this again, because then Galactus will come out. So they shut the negative zone, and basically they're like, who knows, maybe he'll come back someday. Captain America is missing. They don't find his body, but they do find his shield. So Cap is another one that's not basically dead, but he's not really that much considered alive at this point either, so he's missing. Thor is stuck in the negative zone, and basically it looks like Reed Richards is back on the good side? I don't know, but there is a book called Survive, which is coming out March 26th, and that is basically the one-shot, not finale, but the one-shot of the aftermath of the Ultimate's Last Stand, and then I believe in April or May we're going to start getting Ultimate books again. We're getting 3. We're getting the Fantastic Four, the FF, we're getting the Avengers, and we're getting Spider-Man.
Right.
So I'll probably end up getting all 3 number 1s just to see what's going on, and then judge from there what I'm going to be keeping and what I'm not. I believe the FF one has characters I have no interest in, and that's why I'm probably going to end up just getting 2 of the 3 in the end, but we'll see. So that's it for Marvel. We're now going into DC, and we're starting with the digital first books. And guys, I know it's digital first, and I know it really didn't come out the month of February, but I don't care. This book has to get Book of the Week for me, and this is Adventures of Superman, issue number 10. 2 stories that were amazing. The artist on the cover, who I believe did do Ghostbusters. I don't think I'm going to say his last name right, but I'm going to try it anyway.
Yeah, I actually thought it looked like that art was like from somewhere.
I want to see if I can get to the... I think it ended with the... No.
Oh, it should be at the beginning of the book.
Here we go. Pencils and colored by... No, Shane Galloway.
Oh.
Shane Cheeks Galloway. He also did the cover. I guess I was wrong, but the artwork in it is very cartoony, but really nice at the same time. And this boy writes Superman to show, to come to his town. It's basically Clark gets this mailbag at the beginning of the first story with a bunch of letters in it, and he's like, "Come save my town from the monsters." At first, Superman thinks it's these bullies that are beating up on the boy Theo, and that's not the case. Apparently, he hasn't been taking his insulin or something, and Superman's thinking he's in depression. He's trying to figure out what's going on because he doesn't see the monster. And then Theo turns into the monster. It turns out Theo is the monster, and this is all we find out later at the very end. Well, let's get into the fight first. So Superman's fighting the monster, trying to get Theo out of it. Theo semi has control of the monster, and he wants Superman to kill him. And he actually threatens to kill these 2 elderly people if Superman doesn't promise to kill him if he turns back. He has the ability to turn back into his kid self, like if he really tries hard. And he's like, when I turn back into a kid, you have to promise to kill me. And he's like, I promise. He turns back into a kid, and he's like, remember you promised. And Superman's like, I agreed to kill the monster, not the child. He brings Theo to Star Labs to see if Emil Hamilton could actually cure him, and he can't. He says there may never be a cure. And Superman feels like he failed, but in the end Theo's like, no you didn't, because you actually did, save me. You tried, and at least the town is safe, and I'm not hurting anybody anymore. And then there's a nice ending. But apparently the mutation's due to his diabetes, and the medicine that's saving him, the insulin that he's taking, is what's turning him into the monster. So we don't know what happens to the kid, but it was a very heartfelt story. This one was bigger, though. It's about this little girl who wrote Superman this huge letter, and as this letter's going on, there's a fight between Metallo and Superman, and it turns out this little girl, Connie, was there during the fight, and then at the end of the fight, we find out that Connie actually got very sick, and I believe it's cancer that she got, and she's like, I'm still brave, and I still want you to know I'm going to be just like you. I'm going to be brave, and I'm going to, no matter what, I'm not going to be scared. Even when I am scared, I'm going to be strong just like you. And then out of nowhere, you know, it jumps into the present where she's in the cancer ward, and Superman shows up. And he's like, he's explaining what a hero is, and then he's like to Connie is my hero. And this page, it's just like, she's like, thank you, and you see her crying, and Superman's like, you're very welcome. And then the last page with where he's like, he offers to take her on, basically he's going to take her on a flight, so to speak. He's like, since you're a superhero, he gives the rules, and then the last one is you got to be ready to fly off at a moment's notice. So you ready? And he reaches out for her to take his hand. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't care what you say, this is Superman.
That is.
This book, the last story especially, had a way of taking your heart and really just, it melts it. It really...
It did. I'm looking at it now, and I was oh my god.
It puts that lump in your throat. The writers for this book, by the way, are amazing. Both writers, both stories were amazing. This is Superman, though. I don't care what the New 52 is. I don't care if for new readers or because of the stupid lawsuit with the Siegel-Schuster families who are idiots because they're ruining what their grandparents or their uncles created. For what? Money? Good job, guys. You're ruining an all-American, truth, justice, and the American way hero for your greedy needs. Good job, Siegel and Schuster family. I'm sure your uncles are rolling in their graves for the crap that you're doing right now. But beside the point, this is the real Superman. Any new reader who wants to know Superman, I don't care what DC Comics is telling you to read, whether it be Action Comics, Superman, Batman, Superman, which is a series that's completely garbage right now, in my opinion.
We deserve all that, yeah.
It's not garbage because of that. It's because they picked the wrong artist for the book, and the stories just aren't graspy enough. Even when the art was good, the story just didn't grasp me enough. So I actually dropped that series this past week. But beside the point, this is the real Superman. This is who everybody grew up with in my generation and generations before that we grew up with, we loved, and we keep to this day, 2 or 3 years later now that we are, it's about 2 years later from the New 52, going on 3 soon, when September hits. We've been praying to see this Superman return, and we just haven't seen him yet. But thank you, God, at least we have Adventures of Superman right now, which I'm glad, first of all, to see Adventures of Superman back, because it was canceled way before the New 52. So I'm really happy to see Adventures back, and I'm really happy to at least have one book a month that I can buy and see the Superman I grew up with, the Superman I love. Whether he's married to Lois Lane or not, at least it's the Superman that I know and I, respect. This new Superman, he's interesting, but he's not somebody I respect. Larfleeze issue number 8. I'm so glad this story is ending soon. I tell you guys the truth, if it wasn't ending in, I believe, a month or 2, I think I would have dropped it right here. The family wants to get together to destroy Larfleeze. Larfleeze, one of the family members, one of the sisters of the family, actually wants to betray her brothers and sisters, and she brings Larfleeze right to the family meeting where he's threatening to kill them all, basically. And believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, that's the entire book, unless you want some extra edit-on dialogue about how, what was her name? The Wanderer is not respected by her family, and all these characters come in that we're never going to see again after this series is over. And that's that. That's Larfleeze. Thank God this is a $2.99 book. Literally, that's it. That's all I can say. No, I mean that's all the story that happened. Really, honestly, nothing else happened. Nothing.
Maybe they thought that that's a good price.
Nothing else happened. DC Universe versus Masters of the Universe, issue number 5. We find out, or the Justice League find out, that Superman's still alive by the end of this issue, and we find out from the Masters of the Universe miniseries, which this actually ties or connects heavily on. So apparently this is like Masters of the Universe miniseries number 2. It turns out Orko wasn't a bad guy after all. He found out that Skeletor had the skull of, pardon-moi?
The accursed skull?
The Horde Prime's accursed skull. And basically, he found out before any of the Masters found out. And he wanted to go and destroy the skull because he knew what Skeletor's plans were. Basically, to use the skull to erase everybody's memories, which he did in the miniseries. But Orko wanted to try to stop it. And instead of stopping it, the skull kind of turned him evil. It gave him unlimited power at the cost of his compassion, his empathy, and his humanity. So basically, Orko tried to save the Masters and instead lost basically everything that is him and was enslaved by the skull and became evil. So Orko is still really a good guy. It just turns out that he's basically possessed by this skull now. And actually, I have a feeling when he shows the skull to Superman and says, "This is the heart of my power and everything," I have a feeling by the end of this miniseries, we're going to get the old Orko back because somehow they're going to yank the skull out of the evil Orko, and Orko is basically going to turn back to normal.
Yeah, to Orko, yeah.
And Skeletor apparently is on He-Man's side now because he wants to stop Orko himself, because Orko is basically a common enemy of now the Masters and Skeletor. So now everybody's working together. Apparently He-Man goes to Trolla to save Superman. And the House of Mystery is about to be attacked by every DC superhero and villain who are possessed by evil Orko to stop the Justice League and Masters before they foil his plans.
It's weird how the House of Mystery is actually playing all this ever since it was introduced in Justice League.
Well, when it comes to Masters of the Universe, there's a lot of magic involved.
I understand, but I'm liking how they're bringing the House of Mystery into some of the books that relate to magic.
So, interesting book. Again, there's only one part left. I know a lot. Basically, everybody except myself jumped off the book. I decided to stick with it. One more issue to go. Why not? So far, it's an average read, 3 stars. We'll see how the final issue. It'll bring up my verdict, bring down my verdict, or keep my verdict the same.
Yes. All-Star Western featuring Jonah Hex, issue number 28.
What happened to his
You were
face?
telling me rumors that it was going to be canceled.
Well, there were rumors. I mean, rumors go around the internet.
It's not being canceled. It was almost book of the week, and yes, Chris, you're wondering what happened to his face. So he's going into the operating room since he had that little accident that happened. Gina and her father have a little bit of a one-on-one conversation. Thank you. I was trying to get the word and it escaped me. Here's some artwork which is drawn pretty awesome. And he was in a coma, and they're wondering if he was ever going to get out of it. And it was a miracle that he actually did. And the operation they did on his eye was a success. Therefore, Jonah Hex doesn't have that whole thing that he looks like Two-Face almost. He actually looks like a regular human. So, yeah, so there's like lots of stuff where he has to stay in the hospital for a little bit, and he's just trying to still get back at his time, and lo and behold,
oh my God, it's
Booster Gold! He returns! And of course Jonah punishes him because he deserved that after all the hell he put him through. And along with Gina, he finally goes, I guess, back in time where they're in the desert and stuff like that. And there's a bunch of Indians that they come across. Well, really Native Americans, basically. And let's just say they want to do...
Yeah, they think that he says he's Jonah Hex, and the Indians don't believe him because of the face.
Because of the face, yeah, because of the appearance and everything. So I want to see how he's going to get out of this mess, along with Gina, because Gina didn't care that they go back to time where there's no technology, no this, no that, you know, all that other stuff. Almost book of the week, but it's actually really interesting. I'm really liking how the books that I dropped are now getting interesting. That's what I like about these comic books.
The Flash, issue 28. In the beginning of the book, the Flash is possessed by Deadman. Why? Deadman wanted to prevent... oh, goodness, what was this ghost?
The Fletchers?
No, he wants to kill the Fletchers.
Now I'm trying to think, because I know Deadman a little bit.
It's a green spirit.
I don't know. I never saw that.
It tries to possess Flash. Basically, this spirit... Oh, here we go. The Keystone Killer.
Never heard of it.
The spirit of the Keystone Killer. This spirit vows that he's not going to rest until every Fletcher in the world is killed. And the Fletcher... There's a whole backstory in here. You can read it yourselves if you want. So, you get the backstory here, basically, about why he's a spirit that will forever be unrested, and it's the Fletcher family's, well, the ancestor Fletcher family's fault. He curses them. Turns out that the Central Police Department Crime Lab agents are sent to the museum, which was broken into by the Central City killer. There's a little bit of dialogue with the captain and Carly about, you know, Wally, not Wally, Barry. I knew I was going to say Wally, because Wally's coming soon, about Barry and how the captain's keeping him out of the lab, basically, because he's afraid that all Barry's going to be focused on is trying to figure out his mother's case. And it turns out that the person Deadman was in didn't kill his mother after all. He shows up at the police department, and it's like, well, I don't want to spoil the last page. I'll say to be continued in the next issue. But Barry shows up at the museum, helps out a little bit with the research or the analysis of what's going on, and he figures something out, and it leads him to the central, back to the police station. And that's where you're going to be left off until next time. I'm enjoying the story arc so far. Artwork is really good. It's not the same on the cover on the inside, but you guys saw that. I showed you some internal artwork. But once again, Flash is really good. I'm enjoying it. Can't wait to see what they're going to do with Wally West in another couple of months. This book surprised me. Superman issue 28. Bravo, Scott Lobdell. This story actually retained in my mind.
Really?
Yeah. First of all, Cat Grant tells Clark that Morgan Edge offered them, I forgot how many, millions of dollars, I think $2 million or $6 million to, where was it? She offered them, turn the page, and then you wash your hands.
Rocco reference.
$13 million to buy out their website. We'll get to that in a minute, though. Apparently, Lois Lane still has powers from the whole Brainiac experience. Superman discovers a door in the sky, which can't be, moved because it might create a black hole. Jimmy Olsen basically has to move back in with Clark, because Superman hears somebody in his apartment. He runs back, and it's Jimmy Olsen. And I will say this is a very huggy issue, because first Jimmy hugs Clark, then Cat Grant shows up and tells him about Morgan Edge, and also somewhere else Sam Lane's about to learn more about the tower, possibly. Then Cat Grant, like I said, shows up, and Clark basically says, no, we're not selling to Morgan Edge. I believe in what we have. You made me believe. And she's like, oh, Clark, I didn't know. I've never had somebody believe in me. There's hug number 2. And then now Clark's going to be doing research into why Morgan Edge basically wants to buy out Clark, Ropolis. And like what Jimmy said, either he's doing it because it's popular, or that Clark and Cat are too close to something and they want to, they're too close to the story and they don't want the story out there. Clark ends up at the police district, sees Lois, says, I heard what happened at the beginning of the issue. I'm glad are you okay? She's like, yeah, I'm fine. Hug number 3. And Lois is fine, but she's got she's not telling Clark something, I don't know. And then Superman shows up where that guy that attacked Sam Lane is being held and wants answers. However, so does Starfire. Only she actually shows up and says, I don't have time for your Kryptonian arrogance. If I don't strike now, no one on this planet will live to see tomorrow. That was the only part where I'm like, okay, what's going on?
She's a little bit out of character, or unless someone's possessing her.
Nope, that's her now. That's her character.
She's not like that in the Red Hood.
Well, it's in this book. So it was interesting. This is the first story that actually held in my mind for more than, a couple of minutes. I mean, I remember it's been hours since I read this, so it's kind of interesting that I remember this. I'm happy I remember it. But again, is it perfect? Not as perfect as Adventures of Superman, but I'm very happy, and bravo Scott Lobdell for giving me a Superman issue finally that I've retained, other than the Return of Krypton story arc. You have 2 books for Forever Evil, and then we're going to conclude with something else.
And my book of the week from DC Comics, Forever Evil.
If that's your book of the week, let's start with that.
August, issue number 5.
Which is not his book of the week.
Which is not my book of the week, since you just had to swap it out of my hand.
I put him in the wrong order.
Yeah, very rude. Anyway, starts off where they are finding, where they are going to find the cheetah, who actually is the whole thing behind, helping them out with the whole Justice League card. And the only way to stop it. And the only way to defeat her is with Wonder Woman's lasso. I could see what you're doing, the mayor's right there, and I could see with my
I don't see your face.
So yeah, so Steve Trevor and late
Killer Frost.
Why did I say late? Killer Frost are actually... Frost. It's late. Are actually...
late Frost.
Trying to find the cheetah with amazing artwork.
So this has gone off also now, basically.
Not really. I mean...
It's all about Dr. Light. I read this,
That, and also trying to find answers of how the Justice League could get out of the Matrix, which, And then it gets to, like Chris said, Dr. Light, where if you want to find out what he wants and everything, you can read the comic book. And basically, Colonel Steve Trevor gets out of the prison that the cheetah put him in, and he tries to take the rope away, or the lasso actually, which he actually does. And I was actually amazed that he actually did that, along with Killer Frost escaping. But unfortunately,
let's just say, for Dr. Light to get what he wants, Steve Trevor has to die.
Yeah. And that's a turn for the worse. If you want to know what that thing
and
is,
that's
that
the superhero going to supervillain, basically.
That's really sad, but...
And you knew it was going to happen, because
I knew it was
Light
going to happen
a villain.
eventually. And it was an average read. Now my book of the week, are you going to swipe it out of my hands again?
No, my book's the last one.
Thank you. Very Real Light, Justice League Dark, issue number 28.
Oh, look, it's issue number 28 of Justice League Dark.
Give me that. That's my book. Now you're just trying to make things funny and everything.
Book.
Anyway, whatever. So we get to know who the woman is that was with them in the last issue. Cassandra Kraft. Yeah. I swear, I'm gonna get you one. And here's some excellent artwork. Thank you.
You're
So
welcome.
they're still in the containment chamber, both Constantine and
How many
Zatanna.
more issues do we have of Blight? I think one more, right?
No, I think there's more, like maybe 3 or 4 more.
Oh wait, right, because it goes.
Yeah, because it goes, Dr. Faust and Nick Nacro rip off the wings of Angel Zoro, which was really graphic, and Owl. And I like how Constantine and Zatanna went to the in-between world, the between world, my mistake. And they're just talking about, you know, how John Constantine's been away from her for so long and everything, and meanwhile the Justice League Dark team come back, but it's not actually them, it's actually, since they're in the between world, it's actually just, the whole thing that they're not the real people, you know. But then Nick Nacro actually finds his way in the between where they can't hurt each other, and Nick Nacro is actually trying to tell Constantine that Dr. Faust is doing something along with the crime syndicate and wants him to join him. And of course he says no, and Nick Nacro says, oh, of course, so I tricked you and all that stuff. Because you know him, like when you join them, you know, they're not stupid. Even I wouldn't join them. So he's trying to say how he can use magic to kill them and bring them back to life over again, and Dr. Faust didn't like that too much because of the power that he was using. There's going to be a little bit of a friction between those two. And meanwhile, New York, Pandora and Phantom Stranger, they run into a little trouble with, spoiler alert, the Spectre. And last time I saw the Spectre in in the Constantine issue, it was not a good issue. And it's going to be continuing Phantom Stranger issue number 17, The Gamble. Now let's hope, I'm hoping to God that it won't be a bad issue like it was in Constantine. Because that's when we saw Spectre the last time. Hoping that doesn't happen. The book of the week from DC Comics.
And before we go into the book, just give us a brief moment. Okay? And the final book for this week is Superman Lois Lane One Shot, $5. So instead of DC doing this during the annual week, we're getting Lois Lane and next week actually. And the only reason I'm getting this annual is because I was planning to get it before I ended my Batman Superman run. Is the Batman Superman annual, which came out I believe 3 weeks late.
Oh wow.
Maybe 4 weeks late because I think it was the end of. Anyway, I'm getting Superman Batman annual. So what's this? It's a one-shot. It's Lois Lane. And guess what? It is only Lois Lane. Superman shows up literally in guess how many panels?
1.
Only 1.
I figured.
1 gigantic panel. That's it. That's all you see of Superman Clark Kent in this entire book. This book is about Lois Lane and Lucy. Lucy's apartment was broken into, her roommate taken away, because of something we don't know in the beginning of the book. Lucy runs to Lois for help. Lois does her Lois Lane thing where she does a bunch of research throughout most of the book. We get flashbacks of Lois and Lucy when they were younger, about the mother being very sick and the father, and how her and Lucy have this special kind of bond where they have their own language. Jimmy Olsen comes in to help Lois Lane for a little bit. Lois gets abducted. Who didn't see that coming? She's brought onto this ship, which it turns out the roommate was addicted to these pills or these crystal things that turn regular human beings into.
And where's Superman to save her? Because
Lois.
Superman...
What's her name? Lucy made Lois promise not to call him.
Oh.
She's like, you can't trust him. He isn't even human. So Lucy doesn't trust him. It turns out that the crystals turn the regular humans into monsters, and her roommate was a monster. And you see the monsters on the ship, and apparently they're trying to cure them or something like that. Lois, at first they look like they're the bad guys, but in the end they're really the good guys. And Lois still doesn't understand why they want Lucy, why they wanted to take Lucy in with her roommate. Lois ends up saving Lucy's roommate and everybody on the ship. And then out of nowhere, this gigantic monster shows up on top of the ship. And Amanda and Lois escape on top of that monster. And it turns out that the agent, who we only get the word, he's called the agent, promises to cure all the people on the ship that were infected by the crystals, and basically the crystals also have an addictive tendency. So we find out that gigantic monster, the one that saved Amanda and Lois, yeah, that was Lucy. Apparently Lucy was also addicted to the crystals.
Ooh.
She says she can't help it. They were, what do you call it? At a point, she needed them. So Lois basically says, "I'll be your detox. I'll be here while you detox." And it ends on such an awesome sisterly note. It was amazing. I loved this issue. I was worried, especially because it's New 52. I was worried where they were gonna go with Lois Lane. And this issue was spectacular, actually. I loved it. It didn't need Superman.
Yeah,
this was classic Lois Lane.
Yeah.
And that's why I love this issue. It was classic Lois Lane, even though it was in the New 52 universe. I loved it. Highly recommend for any Superman fan to check this book out. It was really, really good. And with that, that's it for this week's Dark Avenger Comic Book review. Next week, we have a fair amount of books again.
Oh boy.
And look forward to the indie review where we've got tons of books, especially I'm sure the crown jewel.
Copies.
I'm sure the crown jewel of next week's review is going to be Tomb Raiders issue #1.
Oh, I am so looking forward to reading that book.
I'm looking forward to reading that book. We're both reading that one because I'm a fan of the Tomb Raider series.
I'm a fan of the Tomb Raider series.
You play it, I'm a fan of it.
I played the whole game.
Anyway,
in the movie we watched.
Feel free to leave comments below, likes, dislikes, agree, disagree with anything we said, recommendations. We love hearing from you guys, so please let your voices be heard. And on Fridays, a weekly comic book call, your comments will be answered or spoken on the weekly comic call.
Yep.
So let your voices be heard here in the comments below, and they'll be verbally heard and answered in the weekly comic book call.
Yep.
And while you're at it, also don't forget to check out comicrelated.com as well as comicfrontline.com. Together we are your #1 source for comic related news, reviews, and a whole bunch more. This week on Comic Frontline we do not have the Frontline live show. We are taking a week off.
Right.
It's 3 on and 1 off. But Media Madness will be happening this Wednesday. This Wednesday.
Yeah.
What we're going to do, though, starting next month, or this month, when we have the week off for the live show, we're also probably going to be taking a week off of Media Madness.
The week after.
No, the same week.
Oh,
so we won't have any live shows
so
that week. We'll see. We're still debating about it. I mean, we're having fun with Media Madness, and it's not taking up really any time, and it's an enjoyable series. We were wondering if we were going to change it to bi-weekly or not. So far, I think it works great as a weekly series.
Yep.
And we'll see. Hey, if any of us ever get busy, we just don't show up.
But we have
we won't be there.
Yeah.
So anyway, guys, that's it.
Yep.
I'm trying to make sure I don't have any news. Yep. So until next time, everybody, keep reading, keep collecting, and we will see you guys in the next review. Take care, everybody.
Later, guys.